The surge of illegal immigrations and unaccompanied minors crossing the U.S.-Mexico border has caused bipartisan questioning to the Biden administration. There has been argument whether to call it a challenge or a crisis.
How can you say that's not a crisis?
Well, it doesn't matter what you call it. It is an enormous challenge. It is something that is front and center for the president, and we don't feel the need to, play games with what it's called.
According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, in February 2021, the agent encountered over 100,000 persons attempting entry along the southwest border. It represented a 28% increase over January. During the 5 months of the fiscal year 2021 up to February, CPB has encountered almost 30,000 unaccompanied children and single minors along the southwest border. Among them, only 10% are under the age of 12, and the rest are aged 13 to 17 years old. So what is the real situation at the southern border right now? What's the impact? And is there anything deeper behind the influx of the migration? Welcome to Sound of Hope News. I'm your host, Kathy Zhang. We cannot make it today, so you're gonna miss his jokes. But I will bring you a special in-depth interview. And the guest is a Mexican journalist and a social media influencer called Oscar L. Blue. He has been on the front line reporting on the border issues. Oscar also traveled to Central America to report the situation there. So Oscar will bring us the first-hand information and in-depth perspectives that he has. He will also talk something surpassing the border issues. So I think you will find it very interesting and worth watching. So before we go on, please, if you can, just click the likes and make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. So Oscar, really a pleasure to have you on our show.
God bless you all. God bless my country of Mexico, my city of Tijuana, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you for inviting me to your beautiful platform. Thank you.
First of all, Oscar, what's the situation right now at the border? Could you describe for us?
It is a really humanitarian crisis. It is a crisis that it was provoked by a new president. This president, Joe Biden, opened his mouth and he said that he was going to invite 125,000 people to the borders, and he was going to let in, after the 19th of February, 300 per day. This ultimately trickled into an effect that every migrant started arriving to the ports of entry that they were going to be let in. That is Tijuana, Ciudad Juarez, and also Bronzeville in Texas. And right now, the situation where I live, that is Tijuana, it is critical. There's more than 2,000 migrants in the camp, more than 300 children, families. There's people infected with COVID. They're doing their necessities outside in the street. There's no portable bathrooms. There's no response. And, the responsible one for all of this is the government of the United States has not put somebody of the administration to give a statement on how the process is going to be, if they're going to be let in or they're not going to be let in. For everybody that is watching, not every migrant qualifies for the asylum or the refugee case. I suggest that you guys go to dhs.gov to check the asylum and refugee cases. But, I also went to Juarez 2 weeks ago and I checked the situation over there. And in Juarez, Kathy, there's a horrible situation that in these caravans, the most preoccupying thing is the child trafficking. Ciudad Juarez, the city that connects to El Paso, only in the month of January alone, 5,700 unaccompanied minors were registered on that particular month. So what they're doing is they're sending the kid alone to the United States of America. Then the family arrives on the next day and they start asking for the asylum because the kid is already on the other side of the border. So they are saying you're separating families now. It is a strategy. They're using a lot of this. And there has been a lot of fake families and a lot of fake marriages also along the way. So it's critical. The situation is real critical right now. And it is a crisis at the border.
So how do you compare the situation right now with how it was under the Trump administration?
To educate yourself a little bit, the immigration factor and the influx of migrants started in the Obama administration with Barack Obama and Joe Biden. They signed a globalist compact of immigration that it was done by the United Nations for 154 countries to come together with this globalist compact, which permits migrants to migrate freely to every country, and every country that takes them needs to provide school, needs to provide money, needs to provide housing, needs to provide all of these things. So Barack Obama signed it, and the president at that particular time of Mexico, Enrique Peña Nieto, signed it. When Barack Obama was leaving office, he had it ready for Hillary Clinton to re-sign the globalist compact of immigration. But oh surprise, Donald Trump came into office and he said, I will protect my country. I will, put America first, and I'm not going to sign this globalist compact of immigration. So he stepped out of the globalist agreement from the United Nations. And after that, the globalist compact came back again to Mexico, and the current president of Mexico signed the globalist compact. This, provoked a massive effect because Canada signed it. So you have enormous influx of migrants coming from Canada to the United States, an enormous influx of migrants coming from Mexico to the United States that puts the United States like in a sandwich in the middle of all of this problematic. So the problem started before. Now that Biden is coming in, all of the trickle effects are coming, and Biden is trying to open up the border with all these problems that the caravans bring. The caravans bring a lot of child trafficking, a lot of sex trafficking, a lot of human smuggling, a lot of drug trafficking. There's been more than 34,000 kids that they have been trafficked since the year of 2018, since the caravan started. That tells you how difficult this is. So this problem started way before the Trump administration. And, with the Trump administration, they try to control it a little bit. But by stopping this enormous influx of migrants and letting people know that there's a process, there's a front door, there's a process for immigration, for all legal immigration. I'm a migrant myself. So it is all for legal immigration, but there's a lot of irregularities now.
Our administration has made a decision that the way to humanely approach immigration is to allow for, for unaccompanied minors to come and be treated with humanity and be in safe place while we're trying to get them into homes and sponsored homes that some more may have come to our border, and there have been, of course, a large flow of children across the border. We recognize that.
As you just heard, the Biden administration believes that its border and immigration policy is a humanely approach. What do you think of that?
There's a lot of humanitarian, help. There's a lot of humanitarian help. A lot of third world class countries need humanitarian help, Kathy, but there's a priorities. If you go statistically, Mexico has 5 cities on the top 5 for violence and delinquents and 15 on the top 50. And El Salvador is all the way to number 17. Guatemala is on number 24. In Honduras, their level of crime has gone down so much because of the level of exodus that they have been having in the last few years. So Honduras is the number 27 in the world. So if you go for violence and delinquents, Mexico should be the one that should be exiling and as an exodus as Central America and also Europe. Now, yes, we have a humanitarian issue. And, in the administration of Trump, they said we're going to send $4.8 billion to Central America to help Central America to build a better infrastructure and to help them with border security and ultimately to fight the gang violence. Now, they interrupted that by the fact that, he didn't win the election. Now, Joe Biden is going to send the $4 billion to Central America, but without no task force. That is the problem, that all these first-class world countries, they're sending money to all these corrupt countries where their corrupt politicians, they get the money for their pockets and they don't provide jobs. They don't provide security. They don't provide all the things that these third world countries need. There's a humanitarian issue. Yes, there is. But there's a lot of trafficking. And this globalist compact does not help to help people migrate safely. Imagine, if you're telling me that Mexico is a third world class country to migrate safely, you're so much incorrect. Mexico is number 1 for cartel activity. number 2 for child trafficking, number 2 for killings of women, number 4 for human smuggling, and number 5 for clandestine burials. How are you going to tell me that it's okay to migrate through our country when you have all of these problems? And right now, the current president, we have more than 90,000 deaths on the first 2 years due to cartel violence under his administration, making this president one of the most violent presidents in Mexican history. So if you're putting through all these migrants through our country and, using them as cattle to migrate all the way to the north, imagine the atrocities that they go through. Imagine the changes of weather. It's horrible how they migrate. It's horrible the child trafficking and the coyotes and the cartels that the situations that they go through. But it's also horrible, Kathy, when they get to the border, there's a lot of liberals and a lot of nonprofit organizations from the United States that they're working on the other side of the border. And in the year 2018, more than 5,800 fake families were registered in the United States of America. And in the year of 2019, more than 4,800 fake families, making fake families, fake marriages, and fake matrimonies to achieve the political asylum in the loophole. And there were more than 70,000 kids recycled. What is recycled? The kids that they are being used to achieve the political asylum, they deport them, they come back. They deport them, they come back. So it is just, we have a humanitarian problem, but the problem is not going to be resolved by these caravans. It is an incorrect way to fix an immigration problem. What it needs to be fixed is to implement a system to, improve the infrastructure and the jobs of these third world class countries, for them to not migrate, to attack the corruption and to fix the insecurity in these countries. So this will end. And basically, you will not risk migrants like the United Nations is doing, risking migrants through countries, to jungles, to seas, through deserts, migrating. You don't see the United Nations in the middle of a jungle helping the migrants. You don't see the United Nations right now at this camp where I am at in Tijuana, giving them water, giving them shelter, giving them food, giving them clothing, giving them tents. You don't see them. So the organization that needs to be held accountable for this humongous problem, it is the United Nations, which is not giving nothing back to the migrants, and they're creating this enormous influx of migrants.
Some people feel that some of the problems in those countries were caused by the United States, probably something it did several decades ago. So America has the obligation to help those people from those countries. What do you think of that?
Well, yeah, you got the justification of all the people, that they're going to say your base military is in our country, and now because of that, I am going to migrate to your country. It's exactly what China is doing right now, that is extracting lithium from a lot of countries, and they're bringing their cheap man labor to Bolivia. That's an example. They're bringing the cheap man labor to Bolivia and extracting lithium and taking all their minerals. It is exactly what China and Russia, and also they did to Venezuela. Venezuela was one of the most richest countries in the world, and it now is turned into socialism. And you're talking about, the justification that you're talking on the 60s and 70s, when the United States used to go to Guatemala and Central America and extract minerals. Yes, we understand that. But what has that have to do with migrating incorrectly, putting children through seas, through jungles? And I know that it leads to a catastrophe, an economical catastrophe. So what you need to do is demand the first class world countries to pursue and to also ultimately to support the economy of these third world class countries. Migrating like this in an exodus, you're talking, if there's a person from the United States of America telling me this, you don't live over here. You don't see what I'm seeing. You're not watching what I'm watching. You're not experiencing what I'm experiencing. You're not seeing a child, getting a shower on the middle of the street where people that they're infected. You're not seeing that. This is a crisis, and it needs to be fixed by the person that opened his mouth that he was going to help all the migrants to open the border, and that is Joe Biden.
Oscar, you mentioned about 150 countries signed this global compact for migration. So what do you think, why they did it?
In my understanding, if we go deeper, Kathy, the United Nations is part of this new world order. And it's part of this agenda that everybody does not understand. It's not only, it's a piece of a puzzle. The globalist compact of immigration is to open the borders and to practically end border sovereignty and identification of a country, and has that ultimate purpose. Now you have the next globalist compact that is going to be the globalist compact of the environment. They're going to try to control, now the environment which is happening right now. Environmentalists in the United States of America are saying that COVID is helping the world because it's healing. So the understanding, they try to make us understand that COVID is okay. In China right now, it is being the number one for bringing the understanding that they're going to end carbon dioxide levels and emissions. They're going to end emissions by the year 2035, 60%, and by the year 2065, they're going to end it under 100%. So there's going to be no emissions. It's going to be all electrical cars, and everything is going to be run by electricity. So you're done with, oil, petroleum, and all of that is done. And that is going to be done by the Paris deal. That is the next globalist compact of the environment. Then you get the globalist compact of the education, that it was going to be pushed by the Vatican. The Vatican was going to be handling that globalist compact on 14th of May of 2020. But due to COVID, it got extended and is going to be reopening on the year of 2021. That is being pushed by the Vatican. It's children traveling with a guardian to countries to particularly give them an opportunity to study. All of these globalist compacts, they are pushed by globalist organizations, that they're the ones that they're putting the rules and the laws in our lives now. It's practically that.
So have you ever had a chance to talk to those lawyers and the nonprofits at the border from the United States trying to help those migrants?
There's a lot of nonprofits that they're good. There's a lot of nonprofits that they're here in Tijuana and along the borders that they're good, that they've been here for the longest time and they help with the good reasons. There's a lot of nonprofits that they're really bad. There's lawyers that they are violating our Constitution of Mexico, working over here illegally without no permit. And this lawyer admitted on camera that they were making a fake marriage. Absolutely. Why are these nonprofit organizations coming into our country, disrespecting our laws, disrespecting our Constitution? I have talked to them. I have confronted also, activists, telling them, what are you doing over here?
Yeah.
What is your whole purpose to be over here?
Yeah, what did they answer? What's their motivation?
Well, their motivation, a lot of them, they were caught, there were activists caught trafficking a minor. There were also other activists, they have been caught red-handed, instigating and motivating migrants to cross illegally to the United States of America. Also, there has been a lot of activists that they wanted to take over. I was right there at a shelter where they wanted to take over a shelter. Exactly the same thing that they do in the United States of America. They wanted to do it over here, instigating and motivating migrants to not obey the law, not obey federal officers. Antifa was over here, by all means necessary, BAM, organizations that they're radical and they're leftist, progressive, liberal radicals. They were over here. What are they doing over here? What's the whole purpose over here? This is not their problem. This is a problem that the Institute National of Immigration of Mexico and the immigration officers of the United States of America need to fix. That is their obligation. The ones that signed the Globalist Compact of Immigration, make them held accountable and put them to work. That is their job.
So, Oscar, you believe that the ultimate goal of the Global Compact for Immigration is a new world order. What do you think this new world order will bring to the people? And on the other hand, many people, especially those who have experienced socialism and communism, they are very concerned about the direction that the United States is heading to. So do you think there is any linkage between the two?
But it has to do a lot, communism is coming into Mexico also. We are under a communist agenda right now with this president. And a lot of leftists in our country of Mexico, they're always saying, why did you not complain at the past governments? Believe me, nobody likes the past governments and nobody likes the past political parties. But this president has communist ideologies. And you have seen that a lot of leaders in the continent of America, they are communists. So the communist agenda, it is coming strongly to the West Hemisphere. The leader of Argentina is communist. The leader of Chile is communist. The leader of Bolivia, he was a socialist, Evo Morales, and he got kicked out. The leader of Colombia is a communist leader. The leader of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, is a socialist dictator. The leader of Nicaragua is a communist. The leaders of the Triangle of, Central America, they're communists. The leader of Mexico is communist. The leader of Canada, Trudeau, he has communist ideologies. So communism is really coming strongly into the West Hemisphere, coming strongly. And it has a lot to do with, the impact of what happened with, how leaders are now consolidating into one world. Really, it's just my idea. China, my God, China, it is really punishing right now, with their communism ideologies. It is really implementing their ideologies and their market as they do. And at every country, they inflate the economy with their cheap product. They inflate the economy with the cheap product, and then they pull out. And exactly as they pull out, they leave the economy, and now they inflate the economy, so they are become, the owners of the economy of that particular country. So for me, and to my understanding, now, the United States is changing to that ideology, and it has a lot of things that they are kind of like the same. Like Venezuela was an exam for all these communist globalist leaders. Exactly what happened with radical movements, division. You see Black Lives Matter, you see Antifa, you see in Mexico feminazis, you see all these radical leftist progressive groups that they are made for division. It is part of the communist ideology. If you read Karl Marx says that the only way to achieve communism and socialism is by the way of confrontation and to take control of the state. That is one of the things that Karl Marx says. So all of these divisions and all of these groups and everything that is happening, pro-abortion and all these disruptions are part of this communist ideology. And it has to do a lot with leaders that they are strictly communists. You see what happened in Belarus with Alexander Lukashenko, that he has been more than 26 years the president of Belarus, and they try to kick him out, and they could not kick them out because Vladimir Putin has overpower of Belarus. So it has to do a lot with how all of these power people are socially, communistly dictating the world now.
Some people in the United States, especially those younger generation, they embrace socialism or even communism. How do you think of that?
I did a video with my colleague Ben Bergquam, and we did a video at a particular part of a mountain right here in Tijuana, and we're showing the wall. And he was telling me, Blue, what do you see on the other side? And to all the young people that they're listening, when you see him from the other side, you see, I was seeing the sea, I was seeing a beautiful vessel, the Coronado Bridge. It is a beautiful bridge. It's a beautiful city, San Diego, California. And there's going to be a point where all these young kids, they're going to realize what is in the other side. And one day, all these communist leaders and all these communist kids and socialist kids, that they want communism and socialism, they're going to experience what is communism and socialism. And they're not going to have their fancy Apple phone, their fancy laptop. All of these, freedom, basically freedom that they have it, they're not going to have it anymore. And they're going to look at another country, they're going to say, oh my God, that's so beautiful, I want that. And they're going to realize, I had that, and I don't have it anymore. I need to fight now to get it back. So that is the problem. That all these young kids right now, it's, Kathy, just the situation of how the left thinks that, everything is given for free. We need everything for free. There's no moral values. There's no God values. There's no God values. There's no family values. There's no education to love your country, to love your flag, to love your constitution, to fight for what is right. There's nothing like that anymore. They're trying to take away, they're trying to eradicate that ideology from men, trying to feminize more men. All of that is coming with this new agenda. And this new agenda just is completely to the automatic destruction of the most capitalist country that exists in the world, that is the United States. So for all these young kids, when you experience what really is communism, you talk a lot about communism in the United States, but you still go to Pizza Hut and you still work for the American dollar, right? You still bring it to your home, right? So when you experience it, When you get to a communist country, I have interviewed people from Cuba, and I have asked them, what do you think about kids that they want communism in the United States of America? Get all the Cubans, get them to the United States, and get all those kids and send them to Cuba so they can experience it.
So, Oscar, you do feel that because they have never personally experienced it, they just have some imagination or even fantasized it.
Yes, because another thing is, it's a different thing to have a doctor's degree, to have a master's degree, and you're going to tell me that you read 20,000 books of communism and socialism, and it's a really different thing that you're reading books and books and books, but when you experience it, I want you to apply all those things that you have read and all your master's degrees and all your doctor's degrees and all your diplomas. It is a whole different ballgame. It is completely different lives. So it's just different to read a book to actually experience it, the whole situation.
How do you think cancel culture relates to this agenda?
Cancel culture, it is basically censorship, right?
Right.
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
In Mexico, our president, he was fighting against biotech, I think it's BioNTech, that is the one that is censoring a lot. I think that, it is happening to a lot of people. Not only now to people that they're conservatives, not only to people that they are, liberals, leftists, it's just in people in general. If you don't follow the agenda, it is complete indoctrination. It is just complete indoctrination. You have to follow what it says. Even the United Nations, the World Health Organization, they say these kind of narratives. Antonio Gutierrez, the head chief of the United Nations, he said this: people don't know what isolation is. So you're trying to indoctrinate to us what is isolation. And if we the people don't, in social media and everything, we post the opposite, we get canceled. So it's complete indoctrination. That is why cancel culture, it is right now happening. There's only one narrative. There's only one response. There's no other response. There's no other narrative. It's follow the indoctrination factor. There's the freedom of speech has been taken away from the United States citizens like you don't even imagine. Venezuela has exactly the same thing. Do you see a Venezuela live streamer? You see people live streaming at night in Venezuela. You see people, using the internet. One of the leaders from China said this: the internet needs to be controlled by the state, not by the people. So it's coming. And that is why censorship, it is happening right now.
Oscar, if you don't mind, could you tell us why do you have such kind of understanding and viewpoints?
Really deep question. As I started broadcasting, when the caravans started coming to my country, I started seeing bus after bus after bus pouring in. And one day, I was a boxing broadcaster. So I was broadcasting boxing. Politics was not even my thing.
Oh.
So the radio station sent me to start broadcasting the caravans. So I started getting involved, and I saw, a kid being dragged by a father that it was not his father. So that led me to interest. For me to get involved and to understand what the caravans are, what is their purpose, that led me to globalist agreements, globalist compacts. That led me to what is the globalization, why the United Nations, why the World Health Organization, why the powerful countries, why the elite, why the banks, why, the G7, why all these, leaders and communist leaders and socialist leaders of the world. It's just an addiction. You start reading so much, and you need to understand, and you need to educate yourself to understand what is the purpose behind every single method that these globalists are using. It is not just broadcasting and seeing what is happening right there. It's understanding their ultimate demonic goal. And it is just, pure demonic, as I just told you.
Wow, it's so interesting. So you actually started as a sports broadcaster, right?
Oh yes, I was a well, I was a professional boxer.
Oh,
Yes, I used to box professionally. I did some fights to help people with cancer. All the funds that I won, I used to donate to kids with cancer and women with breast cancer. So after that, I finished college and I started, as a communicator in sports, as calling fights in boxing. And one day, one led thing to another, and I'm here talking to you.
wow, that's so interesting. I'm glad I asked you this question. So when you covered the caravan, what's the year? Do you remember?
2018.
18. Okay, wow, just only short 3-4 years, right?
Yes, nonstop. We have been doing it nonstop. It's a lot of migrants feel that I am against them. No, I go every day to the shelters and I help. I always bring clothes. I always bring food. I always, try to help. I give food to the poor over here. I try to help, organizations with kids with AIDS and all that kind of stuff. But there's a thing. Let's separate that and let's stop with the pampering. Let's stop with the, oh my God, they're suffering, and oh my God, they're suffering. There's legal migration and there's irregular migration. We need to fix those two terms, because if people are doing things the right way, peacefully, documented, and with a purpose, let's support that. Let's give them the support to do it legally. And if they are, if whatever government is taking them, if it has to be the Mexican, the Canadian, the United States, whatever government that wants to accept migrants, let's do it legally, documented, and with a purpose. But when you're doing it and you bring child trafficking, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, human smuggling, abuse towards women, because there's a lot of that I forgot about that. There's a lot of abuse towards women and these caravans and in these irregularities. When you bring all of that, for God's sake, we already have a problem in Mexico, and you're bringing all of these problems too. Well, just, this is not working. So, it's something that it grew a little by little from me in these 3 years, 3 years broadcasting this.
So, according to your understanding, what is the Chinese Communist Party's role in this globalist agenda?
Oh my God. I don't know what is your posture on the political communist party of China, but I'm just gonna say.
Oh yeah, please.
The political communist party of China has a lot to do with what is happening around the world. The new embodiment of the new world order. China wants to be on the top. They want to be the leaders of the world, and China is the fabric of the world. They sell the cheap man product to every part of the world. It's exactly what happened with COVID. If we go real deep, it has to do on who built it, who provoked it, and what was the ultimate purpose for COVID to start. It was an economical collapse. And exactly that happened. And if you get to see how the gross domestic product of a lot of countries have been affected, Germany -10, France -8, Mexico -10, the United States -3.5, Venezuela -35, and China has a +3.5. It is the only country that has sustained their economy on a +3.5. China wants to be the leader of the automobile industry. It has been the leader of the automobile industry. And they want to break now that, China sells more than 22 million automobiles a year. Behind China is the United States with 11.5 million. So you get all these statistics, and now how China, Xi Jinping, is trying to change the automobile industry to electrical industry. The fight in the Chinese Sea with the Chinese trade, the nuclear testing. They're allies to Russia, and how Russia and China are having problems with the OPEC, with the petroleum, organization of the world. The problems with China and Australia, the problems with China and Indonesia, the problems with the 5G, how they're trying to implement the 5G, the problems to control the internet around the world. China has a lot of impact right now. It is a complete dominance of what they're doing to the world. And they're trying to change it into their communist agenda.
How do you think people in the United States should cope with that?
Oh my God. It's a lot of people ask me, they have to have faith. And, they have to fight. Basically, against these communist ideologies, because the communist agenda is already in the United States. The president of the United States of America, right now, the 46th president, is more lean and towards the communist ideologies. That it was past President Donald Trump, that it was a little bit more of a capitalist, president, more for America First policies. It is really different. So, the United States needs to push, citizens. It depends now on citizens to go to their local, start from where the root is at. Start from your school, start from your local city, start from your local communities. Start fighting for all these, progressive, liberal agendas to not hit your communities and to not progress into your states and your cities. Without that, you see Sanctuary State right here. That is California.
Yeah.
It is horrible. You see Tent City right here, and it is just amazing. How is that profitable for Californians? And you see a lot of homeless people that they have a job, that they have a car, but they don't have a home because they cannot afford a home. So a lot of these people in California, they migrate to Tijuana, they migrate to the borders of Mexico to pay cheaper and to live in the United States. That is not fair. So you inflate another economy. Now you're affecting me because the rent goes up because Mexico now understands that Americans are living over here. So you're bringing dollars. So now you're affecting my economy. So it is just to bring a normal social class. It is just pure communism. You bring more poverty into more poverty. That's exactly what is happening right now with the migrants. You bring poverty into a city that has already have a problem with poverty. So you create one social class. It is just amazing what is happening.
So finally, what's the most takeaway you want our audience to have?
Well, as a Mexican citizen, born and raised over here in my city of Tijuana, I will tell you there's a lot of changes that are happening in the world. And we are acknowledging them right now. I believe that it's time for us to unite as a human race because they're trying to eradicate and eliminate our freedom and take away our rights. But I believe that it's really important that we go back to basics, what is family values, to love your mother, your father, your grandparents. Those good old school, family, good moral values that we need in every house and in every home. To love your country, to love the country that you're migrating, to respect law, to respect order, to try to do things right, to grow as human beings, to see more as just a wall, as just a law, as just a paper, to start describing human beings as human beings, not because he's brown, not because he's white, not because he's black. Everybody has the same capacities and the same capabilities to make better of their lives. When you consider yourself in the United States as a minority, you're degrading yourself to be lower than a stature of somebody else. You're not a minority. You're exactly the same person, and it has the same capacities and capabilities as everybody else. You can achieve your dreams at whatever place in whatever country. And it starts with the moral values and the love for yourself and the love for your country. True patriotism needs to come back to every country for the love and against corruption and against the evil and demonic, but ultimately the love for God. So I just want to say, Kathy, thank you so much to invite me to your beautiful platform. And on this beautiful evening, it was beautiful talking to you. So I don't remember how to say that phrase in Chinese, but if you can say it to the Chinese people, thank you so much. You're beautiful people, all of you. And hope that I can be with you guys on another episode of your show. And like we always say, people, peace and love, because always your country's first.
Wonderful. Thank you, Oscar. Very well said.
Before I go, you can follow me at my social media at Facebook as Oscar L. Blue. And also you can follow me at YouTube. Subscribe to my channel at YouTube as Oscar L. Blue. Telegram as Oscar L. Blue. And I started using Instagram, this new kid stuff. They told me to use Instagram, Kathy. I don't even know how to use it, but I'm over there on Instagram. So you want to follow me on Instagram to all the kids, Oscar L.
Okay, yeah, so that's Oscar Elbu, the journalist and the social media influencer from Mexico. So, how do you like his interview? And I'm so glad that Oscar actually made it here today in our viewers. So, I just like to learn from him and the exchange of the perspectives and the viewpoints. So if you like this video, please remember to click like. And also, I think one thing we are really in common is that we all realize how precious the freedom that we have is, and also we need to come together to fight to keep it. So, and I also noticed that there are some new viewers in our channel tonight. So I hope you like our show and you will subscribe to our channel. So, yeah, we cannot make it here today, but we and Kathy here, we are specialized in sharing the fact-based news, and also we bring our own perspectives because we lived under the communist regime, so we have our life experience that we can share with you, how to identify the CCP and how we can deal with it. So hope that you will subscribe to our channel. Also, we recommend to you, if you have not yet done that, we are also on SafeChat. This is a secure platform that won't censor free speech. It's very, very important. And there has been some social media influencer recommending it, which we shared to you last time. So it's a very good platform, so that we recommend to you. Again, it's really a pleasure to interview with Oscar, and really appreciate you watch this interview. So yeah, have a nice weekend, and we will see you on Monday then. All right, take care everyone. Bye-bye.